Leader of the opposition and former president, Comrade Bharat Jagdeo, our presidential candidate, former minister, Comrade Irfan Ali, Comrade Sheila Veerasamy from the WPO, other colleagues of the PPP, the PPPC, and our governments from the days of the battle to end that period of rigged elections over 1990 to 1992, and to you supporting us through those many years, I say I'm glad to be with you here once again at Babu John, recognizing Dr. Cheddi Jagan, who is truly father of the nation and founder of formal party politics in Guyana. Comrades and friends, when I answered the invitation from Dr. Jagan and the PPP in 1990 to join them in putting our people and country back on the road towards democracy and a closer union amongst all our people, I was not under any deception that I was joining people and an organization that was perfect. But I was joining with humans, other Guyanese, and an organization that were earnest about steadily building a better Guyana for all Guyanese. I was joining a people and an organization who were tested through 28 long years of costly cheating and abuse. My comrades, our meeting here today to recall the life of Dr. Jagan has not gone unnoticed by social commentators and columnists. We'll find a lot of articles in today's paper making reference to Dr. Cheddi Jagan. But I think that many of them only grudgingly recognize him. Myself, growing up and living in Guyana, I could not but get to learn of Dr. Jagan and the People's Progressive Party. I could not but have noticed, even though I was then maybe not yet 10 years old, the great victory and the promise of the 1953 elections and the many events that followed afterwards. The break, the betrayal and the break in 1955, and the intensity of relationships and bitterness that pervaded our political atmosphere from those years. And particularly the treatment of Dr. Jagan and the PPP in 1964, when, as we recall, with the largest block of votes and seats, the British governor overlooked him and went to the second and third persons to form a government, and so cheated Dr. Jagan and the PPP of being in office when we became independent. And following that, there were those many rigged elections, that long period of being cheated but not defeated, where Dr. Jagan, another person, there would have been no hope for Guyana to stay together and for people to come together and build a better country for us all. He truly paid the price. Dr. Jagan and the People's Progressive Party truly paid the price on a number of occasions to keep Guyana whole. And so, comrades, when I was approached in 1990 it was the realization, coming to realization of something that I could not even dare to imagine before. And I have been very thankful and will be forever thankful for that approach and the opportunity to have worked with our people, including, of course, Dr. Barrett Jagdeo in the years as president, when we saw Guyana and the people of Guyana being advanced at a rate and to a level that could have hardly been imagined before. As we drove along that road, the embankment road kept coming up, I recalled to my colleagues in the car, this road should really be known as Nocta's Road. Because I was there too when we converted the abandoned railway embankment into that road. And when we passed by that place with the convention center and the CARICOM headquarters, a promise, a commitment which was made by Mr. Burnham since in 1973 and only realized by Dr. Jagdeo in his time. When I passed through those places and all along, I could not help but feel we did well. We were successful. We could have done more, but we learned a lot along the way. We were good for Guyana during those 23 years that we were in office. And comrades, I call on you and call on all Guyanese that we should do whatever we could to ensure that we return quickly to those days. I was struck in working with Dr. Jagan in 1990. There he was, a very prominent person in Guyana, and I was getting alongside him in 1990. And I remember him speaking touchingly a number of occasions about putting up on his first banner, people and nation, his commitment to people and nation. And he was working to end all the advantage that was being taken of our people. But in my view with him, he was working to end the advantage and the abuse of our people, to end alienation of our people, so that we could more freely give ourselves to work for the development of our people and our country. You know, comrades, in the days of slavery, maybe in indentureship too, maybe it is the rational thing to do when you get into the fields to break the implements so that work could not be done. It's a form of resistance. It is a recognized form of resistance. But it doesn't do us any good. It doesn't do our personality any good to go that way. And Dr. Jagan wanted to end that so as to end the alienation that we were living with each and every moment of the day, so that we could give ourselves to the development of our people and our country. Dr. Jagan, in my view, always stood for responsibility and contribution. And that is why, in my view, he did not resort to, and indeed I would imagine he would have had to prevent many of the hot-headed young men who would have been supporting him to get on various adventures which would have brought violence into our country and end the possibility of us staying together. Those are the reasons why I went to Dr. Jagan. Those same reasons are the reasons why any Guyanese should today join with us in the People's Progressive Party and the PPP city. Don't just stay out there and watch us and watch our achievements of those 23 years, but come and join us so that working together, our efforts would be redoubled and our achievements would be redoubled. And comrades, in the spirit, I think, of Dr. Jagan, I recognize those in our office today, our Prime Minister and President, as Guyanese too, who should also have some words in what we do and where we go. But I want to call on them to take themselves back to their very first words after the successful passage of the NCM, of the no confidence motion. This is what Mr. Nagamutu said. We want our supporters in particular to understand that we are going back to the polls. Guyanese must understand that the democratic process is sometimes unpredictable. You may have results that are not planned for, but the outcome has to be accepted. The NCM must be accepted. Let us get back there. That would be the basis for us to come together. That would be the basis for us to take to see this NCM, to make this NCM into an opportunity rather than a disaster. The disaster of being in an unconstitutional crisis. As our leader of the opposition had said, immediately after the government, the coalition government has fallen, he said to Mr. Harman, let us get together and talk and see how we could manage this for all of us. That is when the opportunity was identified. Not 2-3 days ago with Harman saying, this is an opportunity and people must make themselves, put Guyana first. We were putting Guyana first all along. All throughout the 28 years, we were putting Guyana first. And from the NCM, the moment that that government had fallen, we were putting Guyana first. Even our president the next morning said, we will do everything necessary to facilitate the smooth functioning of general and regional elections, bearing in mind the need for government functions to continue uninterrupted. That is what we want to get back to, comrades. And I call on all commentators, Guyanese and others, I call on all who are interested in Guyana, and particularly our local diplomatic community and the Guyanese overseas, to implore, to insist, to demand of Granger and Nagamutu that they get back to their first positions within the hours of the NCM. They must lead and not be led, because if we reach a disaster, it must hang on their heads. It will hang on their heads. So, comrades, this is how I am moved today as I recall the life of Dr. Jagan. And you could be sure we in the PPP and the PPPC will continue to do whatever we can to avoid calamity for Guyana. And most of all, comrades, I want to join in calling. Let the elections begin. Let the elections begin. As is known, we could never be sure of the outcome. We have to work to win. You and me and all of us have to work to win. And we will surely work to win so that young Irfan Ali can become president of Guyana. And I thank you.